Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, my name is Alexis Joy and I make food and fitness content. Today I figured I would talk to y'all about my fitness journey and how I got to where I am today. I am currently a ACE, which is American Council of Exercise, certified group fitness instructor, as well as a personal trainer working on my nutrition specialty and women's health specialty as well. And so I want to talk to you about how I got to where I am today with what I'm currently doing and just really start from the beginning. If you like what you see or if this inspires you, I'm going to have a few tips at the end of how to stay consistent with your fitness journey. If you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Alexis Joy Fit on all socials, and let's get into it. Okay, so we're really going to go back pretty far here to the fact where I was 3 or 4 and my parents wanted to make sure my brother and I are 2.5 years apart, were involved in some type of sport or some type of movement. And so I got into swim team very quickly and early on in life. I've always been involved in sports in my life, but for swim team in specific, I started at 3 or 4 and did it all the way until I aged out, which was 17 or 18. Throughout that time, I also played a few other sports. I did cheer for a few years. I did volleyball for maybe 3 years. But more importantly, I did soccer, and soccer was one of the sports I absolutely loved playing, still love to this day, but loved playing. The first time I did was those little, I think Pee-wee games. That's what I did growing up. And then according to my mom, I hated it. But I really started to get back into it because my little brother was playing soccer. And I was like, that looks so fun. So I ended up actually getting recruited to play soccer at my high school. One of the coaches just came to me and he goes, "You really like soccer?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Come on and try out." So tried out a bit late and I was able to play throughout all 4 years of high school. I ended up loving it so much after freshman year that I started playing year-round along with swim. So what I would do was during summer, fall, and winter, I would do club. And so summer, you go play all these tournaments. Fall, you'd be in clubs playing games between other teams. And winter was indoor soccer, which is a little bit different. There's less people on the field, and I would switch positions at that point. But basically, I would play soccer all year round, and then spring hit, and I would play with my school instead of doing club. So yeah, soccer was really important to me, so much to the point where I thought I might want to get recruited in high school to play in college. For me, I just feel like I realized that way too late. I think I realized it's junior year going into senior year, and for me, COVID was my senior year. So my coaches were trying to reach out to people for me, but since COVID had hit, I couldn't really go anywhere or do anything because of all the restrictions they had. So it ended up just not being a thing. Moving into college, I didn't really do much exercise freshman year of college and sophomore year of college. More of it was swimming because I was a lifeguard and they required us to swim a lot, and I ended up just being there so the opportunity would present itself. And then walking to classes, I went to a pretty big college, a bigger campus, so I'd have to walk to a lot of my classes or even on their school's treadmill. That was the only form of exercise I was really getting. I met my current boyfriend, and you're probably like, why does this play a part? I'll explain. I met my current boyfriend almost 4 years ago, in 2 weeks, honestly. It's the last few weeks of freshman year of college, and he was pretty athletic. So when we started dating, we went through whole football season, which he does play football. So whole football season, just doing the same thing like I talked about earlier, treadmill, swimming, yada yada. And then when it came off season, he wouldn't be working out with the team, so he would work out with me, and it was kind of sporadic stuff, just walking on the treadmill, little ab exercises. He would show me some strength training exercises, all that kind of stuff. Nothing consistent or crazy, but I really did enjoy doing those with him, so that was kind of a start. But once we fast forward to junior year of college, middle of junior year, I started seeing more influencers working out. I remember specifically being inspired by the Learman twins. And then just one day on my way home from my boyfriend's house, I was listening to this podcast, and this girl was basically, I don't remember the exact words, but she was just saying, why wait to start? What's the difference going to make if you start now? You can start establishing the habit now of whatever you want to do. And I was already thinking in my head that I'm going to start working out in the new year. I remember it being November-ish of junior year of college, and I was going to start in the new year. But with her saying that, I think it just kind of like flipped a switch in my head that's like, yeah, why can't I start now? So I started to have my boyfriend kind of like teach me more. He's starting to wind off into the off season, so he was able to teach me more. But it ended up being towards winter break. And before winter break started, I had called my mom because I was not going to be doing much over winter break. I'm going home. My boyfriend had a bowl game at a state that I couldn't make it to. So I called my mom and said, hey, like, whatever you do, like, can you find me a gym that I can do for 2 weeks? I'm really starting to like it. I want to keep the habit up. I feel like I'll fall off if I don't go while I'm home from winter break. And I don't know what she did, but she ended up hitting the jackpot of all gyms. She found a gym in the town that she lives in that had ECU alum owners, which is the college that I went to. And so they had gyms in the hometown that she was in and then in our college town, so I could go back and forth. So she signed me up for like a 2-week membership. They were willing to work with her so I could come in. And when I got there, I was just kind of like following TikTok, like following other people's plans. I remember making like a written out plan in my agenda and then switching it over to my notes app so I could like make a checklist and check it off each time I did it per day. But like I said, it turned out that the owners were an ECU alum, and the director of operations, which is the one who would operate everything in the town that my mom lives in, was also an ECU alum, and he ended up becoming my mentor basically. He kind of showed me the ropes around the gym first and foremost, and then he kind of showed me how to do some things if I didn't know how to do it. I remember just once I set the bar too high on a barbell squat, and he had to come fix it because I was literally stuck. It was so funny. But again, yeah, like ended up completely changing the game for me and helping me see more I could do in the gym. So my mom was basically able to find people I was able to relate to, not to mention that this gym was 24 hours. Usually I was there during staff hours anyways, but it was pretty helpful to have 24 hours so I could come in whenever I'm comfortable and it's not busy all the time because it has to be during staffed hours. So obviously like those 2 weeks go by, I'm back in school and I'm still working out. I'm going maybe like 3 to 4 days a week, nothing crazy. I'm just trying to get movement in when I can. And I'd fluctuate between our school gym and then the gym at my boyfriend's apartment, just trying to do whatever I could do. I ended up doing that the whole spring semester, moving into summer. Summer, not a lot of people are in our college town. I was living there anyways and working. So I ended up just working out at our school gym instead of going to that other gym because it was completely empty all the time. And that was really comfortable for me. However, it moved to the point of fall when everybody's coming into school, new kids are coming into school, all that kind of stuff, where it was jam packed. Luckily over the summer I gotten more confidence in my form and like what I was doing, so I was good for maybe a few days, but like you would have to wait for everything. And that's when I got to the point that I called who ended up just being our family friend now, from the other gym, being like, hey, I want to go try out one of the gyms here in our college town. Can you get me set up? He let me, but they have 3 locations in our town. So he was like, go ahead and pick one. I picked one out and he gave them a call and was like, hey, she's gonna come in, just let her see how she likes it, free of charge, all that stuff. So do my little free trial thing. Ended up loving it. It was not too far, but not super close to the school, so it wasn't that busy. The free trial, I just loved it. It felt really like homey because I was used to going to one at home, and everybody was super nice like how they were at the other gym. And I ended up getting close to the lady who runs that one, which her name's Miss Kathy, and so it just felt really comfortable, felt like home. So I ended up just going ahead and getting a membership there, even though I get a free membership to the gym at school. It just wasn't worth it to wait every 5 minutes for something. And it really means more to me to go to a gym that has a community rather than being big box gyms or like how my school was so busy, just because people can talk to people, they know what's going on with each other, and it's like really community based, and that's a whole big thing for me. Over this time, I'm starting to see more and more influencers doing fitness content. I guess just because I started seeing one person, it started fixating my niche with it. Target audience was targeted, okay? And I kind of started to see, like, especially the influencers that were actually trainers, it made me realize that that's kind of something I would like to do. I've always known I wanted to do something with media, but I wasn't really sure where. And same with sports. I knew I wanted something with the fitness health area. It just kind of fell that way. I started to focus on what I could teach myself and learn for myself. And that way I'm building up my confidence to, one, know what's better for me. Two, if I need to tell somebody else, I know what's better for them too. I ended up starting going to the gym most weekdays, like 5 days a week. I'd have a 5-day split. I had a general idea what I was doing. Ended up being at that point that it wasn't motivation anymore that was keeping me going. It was definitely discipline. And I wasn't, luckily I have a balance of where I wasn't addicted or anything. If I didn't get to go, it's like, oh, bummer, it's okay. But yeah, I just ended up knowing I wanted to better myself and better future me. So the discipline made me go. Fast forward to senior year of college. In the last semester specifically, I was able to sign up for a class they offered at my school in just like outside of curriculum. It was just something you could take at our gym. And it was the prep class for the ACE exam, which is the ACE personal trainer exam. It's actually one of the harder ones to get into, and I ended up missing the deadline for fall, so I got it in the spring and I took it very seriously. I was there every single Monday and I took my notes, and then I ended up pushing back my exam as far as I could, which was May 2nd, the day before I graduated college. In between then, I was just helping my friends and like kind of using them as like my experiment. They were cool with me helping training them and just kind of learning the ropes and getting more experience. But I ended up taking the exam. It's a 50 to 60% passing rate. I passed, thank God. That was such a stressful time because the next day was graduation. And I know like people are like, well, what about your degrees? Well, for me, I have 2 bachelor's degrees. One of them is in kinesiology, that's a sports studies concentration, and the other one is communications with a media studies concentration. So I use them both now, and so I feel like the money was worthwhile. And yeah, so didn't just throw away my degrees. I still use them. Like I mentioned earlier, I was like training my friends just to get experience before I had the first big girl job. I had a 2-month break in between graduating and having my big girl job. So I graduated in May. I started my job in late June, early July. I ended up moving across the state. I lived in Eastern North Carolina, and now I live all the way on Western North Carolina. And so I started at Crunch Fitness in July as a personal trainer, and that was officially my first big girl job. I didn't know much when I started. All I just knew is that I needed a job, and I talked to a few people that already worked at Crunch before. If you know the fitness influencer Talia, I talked to her a little bit, and she said it's fine. So I was like, you know what, I need a job. I'm gonna get something secured down because a girl has to pay the bills. And it kind of was a blessing in disguise as well, because you know, I'm getting the bills paid. But right before I ended up moving, I was home at my home gym, and my mentor told me that there's a boy at our gym that lives in the town that we're moving to. And this boy ended up telling me about this gym, which I'll get into in a minute. Back to Crunch. While I was doing okay, I had clients and all that stuff. Long story short, they basically try to pressure you into doing unpaid time at work. And for me, that's just not okay and a non-negotiable for me. So I kind of slowly eased out of that job, and it didn't make much anyway. You would only be allowed to have 30% of what you bring in, which I also think is quite ridiculous. And I get why they do it, like try to get clients in, whatever, but that's just not something I'm okay with doing, especially since I lived 30 miles away from our Crunch Fitness. That just wasn't worth the drive for me. It's fair to say that I was there for a really short time, from, like I said, late June, early July to beginning of November. I was done, which is probably why they have a super high turnover rate that they kind of push over with promotions, just specifically in the training position, not in any other position. While I learned a lot there, it just wasn't right for me. Now you may be asking, like, Alexis, how'd you survive if you're just quitting your first big girl job? Well, you know how I just talked about that boy at my gym that mentioned another gym in the town we're moving to? Well, I ended up applying there the week we moved here because I was like, well, it'd be nice to also have a job close by, but not the end of the world. So I didn't hear back from them till July. I ended up getting a job there, just front desk. The manager was like, if you can help us at front desk, you can do personal training here as well. So I was like, okay, get my foot in the door at front desk. So I started there late July, I think early August, and I was able to make enough to pay the bills come November that I was able to quit the other job. And that job that I'm currently in is a blessing in disguise. Just like how my gym is at home, it's a community gym. Everybody knows everybody. For the most part, everybody is super nice. And I have been able to build up my clientele and really just enjoy where I work and not feel like such a chore to be there, like how I felt at Crunch. Not to mention the manager at my gym that I'm currently at, she offered for the gym to pay for me to get a group fitness certification so I can start teaching classes, which I'm not a big going in front of a bunch of people person, but I ended up loving it, and I teach a class every Tuesday night. When I first moved here, we didn't know I was going to live in this town. We thought I might live in surrounding areas, and I think it was really just like God's calling for me to come to this area. God was like, you know, I have this big plan for you here. I think you should move here. And I listened to it, and I think it's really blessed me in the time that it has. I've continued my routine of working out 5 days a week. I make sure to have time to myself where I do that. I'm gonna make time for myself every day. That's my version of self-care. My main goal has shifted every now and then. My first goal was obviously being a natural Kim K, which that is still my baseline goal. But for right now, I'm actually prepping for our first ever wedding guest that I'm going to be. I just wanted to look really nice for it. We haven't seen our friends in a while, so I'm trying to slim down a little bit for that. So main goal is natural Kim K. We'll come back to it after there's events that I want to go to and look like lean for. So yeah, with that crazy gym experience, I hope that I could help y'all or inspire y'all at all. And with that being said, I really have some tips that have helped me over the last few years stay doing what I do in the gym. So let's get into that. Number one is more of a recent learn for me, especially with how I was talking about working on my nutrition specialty. Whole foods are everything but more. We all love a good sweet treat, but everything that you can bake or make at home or like buy in the store is easily able to become healthier at home in the kitchen. For me, cooking at home a lot more has made me be able to lean down consistently and just lose the body fat and keep the muscle. Keeping those colorful foods up, being rich in those vegetables and fruit, just having a whole balanced meal each meal has been really helpful for me, and I think that could be helpful for you. Another thing with that is people say abs are made in the kitchen, which I just don't think is true. Abs are made in the gym, but how abs are shown are made in the kitchen. So do with that what you please. I also recommend checking with your insurance because I see a dietitian to help me with my dietary needs and is completely covered by my insurance, and a lot of insurances do that as well, and a lot of people don't know. Number two, form over quantity. This is going to be huge. There is a term called ego lifting, which is basically the opposite, quantity over form. People try to lift heavier while compromising their form, and it just ends up causing injury or making you look stupid. In all honesty, it's just not good for you and your overall health in the future. So if you feel like the weight is too heavy and it's causing you to have improper form, go down in form and go down in weight until you feel like your form is perfected, and then you can go back up to that weight. Number three is be consistent. We talked about this a little bit earlier with the discipline over motivation. Slowly, if you keep on going, even on the days that you don't want to go, that motivation is going to turn into discipline of you know what you want for you, and if you keep up with your habits, you'll get what you want. And so having that discipline is really important, especially in those crucial times like when we're on our period or just don't want to go. Number four, don't follow a plan or meal ideas just because an influencer said so. The likelihood that the influencer you're watching has the same exact goals as you and has the same exact health needs as you is basically slim to none. So if you're following every single thing a person does, it's probably not going to give you the results that you want to see specifically, which is why I recommend personal training or doing your own research. I offer personal training. If you just message me on Instagram, I can help you out. Otherwise, like, just do your research of how to get to the goals that you want to get to. That doesn't mean you can't follow a workout that, like, say I post workouts all the time. That doesn't mean you can't follow them. I would say just don't do everything I do to a T, if that makes sense. Number five, and my final tip, is do something you enjoy. Find exercises you enjoy, because the likelihood that you're going to continue to do it if you absolutely hate it is slim to none as well. You can't just go in and be like, oh, I don't want to do it. The likelihood you're not going to do it. So find exercises that you're at least okay with or enjoy, or even hobbies outside of the gym. For me, I really love swimming. So swimming is my external hobby outside of the gym. You can find exercises you like. For me, I love hip thrusts. I love the lat pull downs, those stuff I really enjoy, so I implement it in my workout. But if you don't enjoy it, find an alternative. Take the time to experiment a little bit in the first few weeks of you working out, figure out what you like. That way you have time to shift it and start being consistent with the stuff that you like. That is all. I hope you really enjoyed it. I know it's a long, like, deep talk, but I feel like I haven't had a deep talk like this in a while. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see, and I will see y'all next time.